Hello and welcome back to Marineford TCG. My name is Joe. Drink of the day is lime juice. And today I want to discuss these concerning prices in PRB02. So PRB02 obviously came out just last Friday. The set's only been out for a few days. However, the hype around the new cards in this set is sort of to levels that we've not seen before with a brand new One Piece product. And I think a lot of it is connected to some really shocking pull rates. So based on what I've seen online, people are reporting they're opening a case and they're not even getting playsets of the new rares. Which is like, that's not good. I don't know how Bandai's messed up the distributions of the new cards this badly. Because normally like I open 3 boxes of every main set. And you pretty much get a playset of all the rares. And then you have to fill in the SRs here and there. And then obviously if you get a case, you're going to get way more. And in this set, you're getting more SRs. So the SR pull rate shouldn't in theory be that bad. But what's actually bad is the rares. Because in a normal pack of One Piece cards, you get 2 rares, right? And then when you get a hit, be it a secret rare or an SR or whatever, one of those rares is replaced by the SR. However, in this set, every single pack has just 1 rare. You're always guaranteed only 1 rare, and there's no reverse holo foils of the rares. So that means that some of the cards, like Kobe, are actually just incredibly hard to get. These rares, there's 41 rares in the set, I do believe, which means that on average you'll get 1 Kobe in 2 boxes, which is like horrific. That's really, really dreadful. And there are 12 new rares, but they're not all created equally, right? The bad ones are as rare as Kobe, but nobody wants them. The demand for things like the Jinbei is just considerably lower than the demand for this card, which goes in a bunch of different red decks. I will say I don't think this is like a meta break or anything, obviously, but this being an $11 rare, this is unseen before, right? I've never seen an $11 rare, and this is 13 once you add the shipping in, which is wild. And the stock just gets more expensive. It's genuinely quite concerning because I've not been hearing too many reports of second waves of this set. If you know if your LGS is getting more of this product, please let me know in the comments, because mine isn't, as far as I'm aware. And they're sold out already. So there's going to be no more people opening this in my local area, which means that you're just going to have to buy singles. And buying singles at like these prices is egregious. I will say this is not as bad in the EU. Nowhere near as bad, in fact. For example, here's the Kobe. He's currently running around £3, which is probably around $4. This is still expensive for a rare. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to pay £4 for a rare. But when you factor in the pull rates, like we talked about a moment ago, it makes a bit more sense. $13 is just awful. £4, it's like, it's bad. Don't get me wrong, it's bad, but it's not as bad as this. So I do think this is much more exacerbated in America, but there are a couple of cards, mainly Marco, where this sort of transfers over as well. And here we are, the main man himself, Mr. Marco. So in the States, this is around $22, and in the UK, this is around sort of £16. There are 2 here for less than that, but £16 is basically equivalent to $21. So this is one of the few cards where the mass buyouts that you quite often see in America has basically transferred over to the UK and the EU as a whole. Obviously, this Marco is this is an incredible card, right? Don't get me wrong. It's really good in Red Blue Ace especially, but even in like off-meta blue decks, things like Kuzan, things like Blue Yellow Nami, I mean, this is just a staple. You're playing this Marco. It's a blocker that draws 2 cards when it blocks. That's mental. And if these print runs are as short as they've been in the past with these side sets, like PRB01 and EB, the demand for this card, purely because it's playable, is obviously very high. So will these prices drop? I'm not sure they will. Obviously, I can't give you financial advice. I can't tell you what to do with your money. I've bought my playsets. I've bought my playsets of all the SRs and rares in this set, except the ones that I think you won't need a playset of. For example, the Shiryu, I'm not a Blackbeard player. I'm never going to play Blackbeard, so I've not bothered with that one. And the same with the Lucky Roo. I pulled 2 of him from my boxes. I don't think you'll ever really want to play more than 2. The card's not that good, so I've held off on that. But all the cards that could conceivably be played at a playset in a deck in the future, I have bought. Not quite at these prices. I got mine a little bit cheaper. I bought a lot of them last night. For example, the Marcos I got for around £10, which I wasn't thrilled to pay that, I'll be honest. But like this £15 price tag is the most expensive SR we've seen in a minute. Cavendish and Brook and some of the other ones from EB01 came close, but not on release, and we've just not seen prices like this in a long time, which is quite concerning. One thing that is interesting is that in the EU, at least, a lot of the alt arts are like not that expensive. Like, only if you take a look at the law, like £17 when the regular version is going to set you back sort of £3-4 anyway. That's not too bad. That's genuinely not too bad. And that's why I think a lot of this price rise is just driven by playability. Even the other alt arts in the sets, the ones that aren't from PRB02, they're really not that expensive. I mean, the most expensive Gold Don is just over £100. You can get some of the cheaper Gold Dons, like the Chopper Don, for 50 quid already. The SP Blackbeard event, 50 quid. Like, this is one of the better SP events you can get. Second only to Gum Gum Giant. And that guy has held his value. Giant is expensive. He's in a league of his own. But I think we sort of expected that. It's considerably better than the other 3 manga events. And sort of this and the Pudding SP are the best 2 by quite a way. But if you go down to like a couple pages in, just the regular alt arts, these prices really aren't that bad. I mean, Usahachi, that's a staple card. That's a banger card. And you pick it up for like £14. That's not too bad, you know? For one of probably, I would have predicted to be one of the better alt arts in the set of the reprinted cards. That's really not too bad. Is this Mary Joie's the most expensive alt art of a non-reprinted card? That's interesting. How much is this going for at the minute? Yeah, buy mine. I should probably just take this off. The price is outdated. Yeah, 20 quid. 20 quid for the most expensive alt art of a reprint in the set. That's really not that bad, and it sort of goes to show that I think I'm right. A lot of this demand is just driven by people want to play the new cards, and the pull rates on them are dreadful. They're just dreadful. And this is bad, and this is worse in America, right? The alt art market in America is always crazy compared to the EU, but that's to be expected. And to be fair, the market in general over there is just worse. You've got way more scalpers, unfortunately, who just buy out all the cards for a laugh. I mean, if you look at like the Luffy, right? Market price on this guy, $130. Go back here. Bang, £70. What's that in dollars? 94. That's a good like $30, yeah, $35 discount. It's crazy. It's a crazy difference. I wonder how much money you could make if you just like bought cards off Card Market and shipped them to America. Fun little business venture for someone there. But yeah, the long story short, these pull rates suck. Should you buy? Hard to say. I hope they go down, and if there is more stock that becomes available, or if the hype just dies off, they obviously will. However, I personally don't see that happening anytime soon. And as a result, I have bought. I obviously can't give you financial advice on what you should do with your money, but I have bought my playsets of the SRs. I don't want to be left out in the cold if this Marco becomes like £25 or £30, and I want to play Red Blue Ace. You know, it's tough. It's tough. Now, on a more positive note, the reprint prices. The reprint prices are incredible. The prices on the reprinted cards are just like so good. And let's start off by talking about super rares. So Cavendish before these reprints, I mean, he was like $25, right? He was like $25 in America. I think more than that. At a point, I believe this was up to around 40, and this has dropped to 10. This isn't as low as I thought it would drop, I'll be honest, because in PRB1, when those reprints happened, there were barely any cards more than $1. So I'm a little surprised he still kept 10. And in the EU, this is a little bit lower again, around £4. If you're if you're someone who likes to build a bunch of different decks, I would pick up playsets of the whatever SRs, the reprint ones, that you don't have. Cavendish is an outlier, right? The next most expensive SR after Cavendish is like Brook at a couple bucks. And this is sort of more what I expected these prices to be at. I expected every SR to be sort of $1 to $2. And the same in the EU, right? If we scroll down past the old ones. Yeah, the most expensive one is Laboon. How much is Laboon? Is less than £1. This is a win. Credit to Bandai, they have reprinted mostly good SRs. There's not that many stinkers in this set. 6 cost Hawkins, who I managed to get in like every fucking box. Get this guy out of here, dude. Get this guy out of here. And like probably the Bonnie. Maybe the buggy cards if you like. But most of these are good reprints. Kid was like $3-4 at one point recently. This Luffy used to be really expensive, so I get why they chose that one. Dragon, again, Dragon was like $9, and now he just isn't, right? Where is Dragon? Where is Dragon gone? Oh, I can filter by this, can't I? Genius. We have the technology. Yeah, there you go. It's Dragon. He's less than 50 cents. This is a win. This is the good side of PRB02. These reprint cards just dropping to next to no value is brilliant. Even Sabo. I remember when this guy, obviously not this print. I remember when this guy was like $20. Was it more than? It might have even been more than that actually. This was a really expensive card. It's like I'm going back like a year and a bit now. This used to be extremely expensive. Obviously not played any. Obviously doesn't see too much play anymore. But seeing this at 50 cents, man. Big up Bandai. They know what they're doing with this. They just didn't know what they were doing with the new cards, right? Because those prices are brilliant. These prices are a problem, and it's not just like the super playable ones. I mean, the Boa, this is still like a $5 SR, and there's not that many at this price point. You've got a handful here for $5, and then it jumps to 10. Is $5 for an SR the end of the world? No, but when it's seeing like literally zero play, like this Boa is, it's not quite so good then. Finally, let's talk about the secret rares that they've reprinted. All 8 of these, well, maybe not some, but the other 7 are really good hits. All of these cards have been somewhat expensive at points in the past. Obviously, Ace and Law, not so much, but cards like Rayleigh was like £25. I remember Bon Clay being like nearly £40, I think, at one point. And the same with the Secret Luffy from EBO2. This was incredibly expensive as well. So the fact that they've chosen 7 out of 8 of these secrets to be really good ones to reprint, banger. And the fact that these prices are so low, I mean, let's take a look at Rayleigh. Oh, £5. £5 for Rayleighs, man. This is brilliant for secret rares. And this is also true in America, right? These secrets are cheap in America as well. $5, $6 for a Rayleigh. Brilliant. This is the most expensive one, the Secret Luffy. But even he's only like $14, $15. This has now come down from like an extremely expensive secret rare to just a pretty expensive secret rare. 15, it's not too bad. I'd love to be able to... Is Mr. 2 actually still $20? That's wild. I mean, let me do... Hang on a minute here. Yeah, these are still 20. Damn, I guess this guy was even more expensive in America, right? Yeah, this guy was like $51. That's crazy. Anyway, so Mr. 2's still got a bit of value, as well as the EBO2 Luffy. But honestly, it's fine. It's not a bad thing for some of the hits in the box to have a bit of value. And this has, like, dropped the price. I mean, you saw on that chart, right? It was $50. Now it's down to 20. That's great. And this is obviously better in the EU. Or cheaper in the EU, at least. Yeah, Mr. 2's down to about £8. He was also very, very expensive over here as well. Not to the level of $53, I do believe. But, yeah, seeing these prices drop so much as well. Huge win. Just dodge Sabo. It's the only bad one in the set. So, again, SRs, reprint, all the reprints in this set, huge wins. It's a real shame they handled the new cards so poorly. Otherwise, I think this set would have been like an all-time banger. It still is, but it's just sort of got that dirty underbelly of the new cards being really hard to get and just so expensive as a result. But it is what it is. Got to give Bandai credit. Don't forget when you're complaining about how expensive the new cards are, to give them credit for these reprints, because this is brilliant for new players. And finally, I want to talk about the price of sealed, because there is a world of difference between the price in the EU and the price in America. For context, retail in the UK is £110. Retail in America is $110. Yes, those conversion rates absolutely suck. Let me show you that. Our retail is $147 effectively, which is just garbage. But that aside, the price in America is $174. This is the cheapest one on the TCG player. That's around 50% above retail. In the EU, you can pick this up for sort of £90 to £100, which is a good sort of 10% below retail. So why is this price, what's the cause of this price difference? I think obviously you guys have a lot more scalpers in America who do just go around and buy up product. Also, generally, people in America on average are more well off, and the prices in the EU are higher at base. So more people do buy more boxes in America. That's absolutely true. So I think that will play into it. I think the scalper aspect will play into it. And maybe you've had less stock than us. But regardless, I would definitely not be buying these boxes above retail in America. These prices are terrible. Don't support these local gaming stores that are selling things above retail. It's scummy. They're getting bargain prices from their distributors, and then they're just charging you more. And if you continue to support them, you endorse the behavior. Like, people selling for more money on the secondary market, it is what it is. They've paid retail for those boxes, and then they're upselling them. Scalping always stinks, don't get me wrong, but when it's done by stores that are getting these at distribution wholesale prices, that's horrific, because they're just they're not building a community, and that's what these stores are supposed to be about. Obviously they've got to make money, but they're making money. Don't be fooled. They are making good money on products that they sell at RRP. Otherwise, these ventures just wouldn't have been profitable in the past, when these stores were having to sell product a good amount under RRP for other games. I mean, I remember when you could walk into a store and buy a Pokemon booster box for less than £100. Now you're lucky if you can get them at retail, and that just sort of goes to show the margins that there are on these products. And obviously maybe things have shrunk, I don't know about tariffs and things like that, but these prices are garbage when it's run by stores. Don't support this. In the EU, however, there's a good amount of this still for retail. If you want to crack some packs, if you enjoy opening this set, I think buying these around £90 to £100 is still very reasonable. You've got a good chance of making most of your money back as well, which is a nice little bonus. I think this is going to steadily rise. I mean, you can see sort of around, it's gone up around £5 in the last week or so. And I think the price will rise because we don't see reprints of these outside of the official stores, which seem to pull stock out of their arse. But hey, that's besides the point. I wouldn't support these prices. Anyway, that's enough PRB02 discussion. Long story short, should you buy? I don't know, I'm buying. That's all I can say. I've bought my SRs. If you think you're going to want to play these decks, cool, grab them. And I think looking ahead to the future, we don't know what's going to come out. You never know what's going to happen with some of these SRs. We saw it with some of the EB SRs that were just worthless on release. I mean, Laboon was like a big example, right? Laboon was never played. He wasn't even played in Lucci back in the day. It was like a £1 SR. Then Blackbeard came out and started playing Laboon because it was an activate main that could help you with your removal. And Laboon shot up to a very high price. So don't be left in the cold. But also don't give in to too much hype. If you don't need these cards for the decks you're planning on buying, don't feel like you need to buy them. And we'll see what happens. I might revisit this in another week or so, just out of interest. See how the prices have, see if the prices have changed much, risen or fallen. It'll be interesting to see, but for now, yeah, that's PRB02. Now let's discuss just a couple of cards that I think could still be worth buying for OP13. And first I want to talk about Stussy, because I do still think this is a good buy. Both the regular and the all. I think the SP, that's too expensive now for me. Definitely so. But like all of this is only 13. And the SR is still dirt cheap. If you don't have your Stussies, just get yourself a playset. Like, if you can pick up a playset of these for like £2, man, like, why would you not, right? The price has been steadily going up, but there's still a good amount of stock here from a bunch of different countries in the EU that you can get pretty cheap. If you're in the UK, you're going to be paying a bit more than this. We know how that works, sadly. And the same with the Altar. Like, paying £13-14 for this, when we've just looked at some of those prices of the cards, like, this is less than a Marco SR for an Altar Stussie. And this is good in Emu, this is good in Sabo, of course, in the next set. And if you're planning on playing any Rogue Black decks, this is probably pretty good in them, just because it comes down on 9 and removes the 10-cost Whitebeard that Ace has played on 8 with the event. This is one of the only reliable ways to clear that guy. So I'm pretty high on Stussie at the minute. Interested to see what this is doing in America. Yeah, this has risen quite a lot. $3. $3 is a little bit more than I'll be looking to pay. I believe I recommended it a couple of weeks ago, and it was around $1.50 to $2. Now you're paying $3 plus shipping. That's $4. Quick maths. So yeah, it's not great. I think you should have bought a while back once we saw this was seen playing Emu. But yeah, if you're in the EU at least, these are still cheap. Just pick these up. Do yourself a favour. The alt's actually not too bad, right? 20 bucks. I mean, it's risen a lot, don't get me wrong. But I mean, the last week, it's not really changed at all. So yeah, this ain't too bad. This ain't too bad, $20. That's not that much more than £13, honestly. You could probably still pick this up if you like. But again, the SP, the price is sale, right? Look at this. Look at this. 120 bucks. That's crazy. This is a $45 SP. What a time to be alive. Let's check up on Jozu. This one. Poo chart. Cool. You'd love to see it. Card market, help us out. Here we are. Yeah, this guy's still around £1 in the EU. This hasn't changed too much in the last little bit here. Back, yeah, it's around £2, £1, £2. You still get this for pretty reasonable. This is obviously a 4 in a lot of Ace builds at the minute, especially if you're planning on teching for the Ace Mirror. This Jozu is really important. And this seems to be seeing a lot more play than the EB Yamato recently, which is interesting. Because that card was one that went like sky high a few weeks back. But now it's actually come down a bit, right? Let's take a look. Yeah, this has come back down to sort of £8-9, which is obviously a lot better than the sort of £10-11 that we were seeing before. So if you really want to have all the options for your Ace deck, I don't think this is actually that bad to buy right now. If this starts seeing more success in Ace in the West, this is likely to rise. It's an EB card. We're not getting a Reprints PRB02 anytime soon. So I think this one is maybe okay to buy if you really want to. Jozu in America. Again, if you're planning on playing Ace, you're going to need these. I hope you got these for less than this, though, because, yeah, this sucks for a rare. Like we talked about with the Kobe. Paying $4-5 for a rare, that just stinks. Let's see if we can find Yamato. There it is. Yeah, but 18, that's actually continued to rise in America, right? Yeah, whereas in the EU, this has sort of stabilized and come down a little bit. It's actually gone up in the States. That's interesting. I wonder why. Yeah, if you look like a couple of weeks back, you're like $11. Now it's at 20. Now it's at 18. That's lightly played as well. Yeah, you're sort of paying $18-19 for this in the States. Interesting. I think one thing that is interesting about OP13 in general is there's not that many old cards that are that good. You got like the Taxbeard, the Yamato, and the Ace, particularly in Ace. Zoro's kind of just playing the same cards he did before, so nothing's really changed there. The whole deck's basically from OP12 and OP13. So it's like, other than Cavendish, it's like whatever. And Cavendish has just dropped. I think I would say if you're planning on playing green, I'd grab Cavendish's now. We'll see what happens with the print run. but it doesn't look likely that there's going to be a massive restock of PRB02. So I think the reprint SRs, including Cavendish, are probably good ones to look at picking up your playsets of at the minute. And I guess we'll just wrap it up here. Long story short, should you buy PRB02? Prices suck. Pull rates suck. Reprints, big win. Big win for Bandai and the reprints. But, yeah, there's a bit of a flop on those new cards. I've bought, should you buy? That's your decision, of course, as always. But I would be aware that if hype continues at this sort of level, we don't know where these prices will go. It's interesting. Interesting to watch. Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.